Gelazzis. Here we are again. We've got a group full of young moms in the house. Hello, ladies. I know you're talking to each other, but you know, moms are like my kryptonite as far as comedy goes. I'm always worried about telling them jokes. But I was talking to a friend recently, and he was telling me all about his kids, and it was really nice. And I got kind of jealous afterwards. And then later I thought, you know, maybe it's my own fault. I don't have any kids. Just was too good at pulling out, I guess. Too good. It's my own fault. You guys ever get really drunk, like really drunk, and then do something that inconveniences someone else, and there's nothing you can do about it because
fell on the pavement.
You're too fucking drunk.
Took 3 weeks.
That happened to me several times. One time I peed on a homeless guy. I didn't know he was there, sleeping under a sheet of cardboard. I felt really bad. But another time I got really, really drunk. I was at this bar, and across the street was a Taco Bell. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm getting some of that. And I stumbled across the road, and about halfway across the road, I realized how drunk I was. And I stumbled up into the Taco Bell yard, and I found a tree, and I grabbed onto it. It had a nice Y in it, where I could just rest my head and hold on to the two arms of the tree. And I'm holding on to this tree, and when I realized I'm about to get violently ill, and just about that time, a car came around the corner, and I realized that I was in the drive-thru lane between where you order and where you pick up the food. So all these people got a treat after ordering their Taco Bell. Me in a tree, violently hurling down the front side of the tree, and all I can see is my arms and my head, and me going, I'm sorry! I'm so sorry! I'm really sorry. And afterwards, I think I had some Taco Bell after I think it was the adrenaline of realizing, holy shit, one of these people is going to call the cops. And I've got nothing to say. Another story, I don't know, I've had some crazy things happen in my life, and it's amazing what you remember. It's usually the most traumatic things. But one time I lived in Arizona, and I was driving back to Illinois for some reason. And I used to drive straight through. I don't know how I did it. It might have been the White Cross. I don't know, it was some serious caffeine. But after about 20 hours on the road, you'd start to hallucinate. And it was 24 to 27 hour drive typically. And I was coming into, the sun was just coming up. I was coming through Missouri. I was near the border, I believe. And the sun was just peeking over the horizon. I'd driven all night, and out of nowhere comes this giant herd of deer just coming across the road like a group, and they're jumping, and I'm going like 55, 60 miles an hour. And I'm swerving back and forth, and I missed all of these deer, every single one of them. Except this last one that came out of the woods out of nowhere and skirting along the side of my car as I'm swerving and slowing down. And I'm like yelling out the window like, no, no, no! And there was nowhere I could go, and the deer stuck his head right into my front wheel well. And hurt himself really bad. And my car was all fucked up, and I pulled off the side of the road. And not 10 seconds later, a car just slams on his brakes, and this station wagon with this redneck in it. Honey, man, you want that deer? You want that deer? I'll take that deer if you want that deer. I'm like, hey man, the deer's all yours. I gotta drive the rest of the way back. I can't take the deer, it's all yours. But the thing is the deer isn't dead yet. And unfortunately, we gotta put it out of its misery here. And I didn't have anything to put the deer out of its misery except the 2x4 in the back of my truck. And that's what I had at the moment. And I was thinking I might have to whack it over the head. So I said to the guy, hey man, you got something you can finish this off with here? And he's like, oh man, I don't think I got anything. I don't think I got anything, man. So so I go over to whack the deer on the head with the 2x4, and he's searching around in his car. He said, hold up. I got something here. He pulls out this toolbox, and inside the toolbox is a knife. not an ordinary knife. I think it might have been a Bowie knife. It was like 14 to 16 inch long knife. It was a huge, huge knife. Like, how do you not know? See you, ladies. Have a good night. Take care of those kids. So he whips out this huge knife. Like, how do you not know that you got this knife in your toolbox? Like, there's a good chance you lose a finger if you don't know you got a little knife like that in your toolbox. So he pulls out this knife, and the deer is laying on the side of the road, and I'm standing with my dog in a 2x4. Let's say this chair is the deer. The deer's here. This is the deer's head over here. And the redneck, he's got his big ass knife, and he comes over to the backside of the deer, and he's all like, starts to cut his throat, you know, with the knife, and the deer miraculously comes back to life. It's still hurting, but the redneck doesn't hesitate. He jumps on the top of the deer, and the legs are like flailing over here. The legs are like, and he's got this knife with two hands, because it's a two-handed knife, really. And he's, let me just demonstrate. It was like serious. He takes the knife, and he's like, he killed this deer for sure. He almost cut the deer's head off. And this redneck, you know, he's got 4 or 5 teeth. It's not pretty up in there, but he's got blood all over his overalls. All over the overalls. And at some point, somebody called the police because of the accident. And I'm standing on the side of the road with the redneck, like, yeah, you did it, dude. My dog was going crazy. So the cop shows up, and I'm filling out the report in the back of the cop car, and the redneck stand there, and I say to the cop, I said, hey man, I don't think we need to make this guy wait. I said he could have this deer, and he's waiting, you know, he basically took care of the deer, and I said he could have it. And the cop's like, oh, all right. So he waves the redneck over, the redneck comes up to the window, and the redneck's like, hey, he said I could have that deer. Is that all right? I'll take that deer now. And the cop looks him straight in the face, and he says, I'm sorry, sir. You have to go down to the station and put your name on a roadkill waiting list in order to get a deer. And we'll call you the next time when your name comes up on the roadkill list. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about that. You know, where's the police station? And the cop tells him where the police station is. Okay, I'll head right there right now. So the redneck, all covered in blood, drives away. And I'm sitting in the back, filling out the report still. The redneck gets about 10 feet away. The cop picks up his cell phone. Hey, Bob, I got a deer down here by the bridge on 56. If you want to come down here and pick her up, it's fresh and ready for you. And I looked over the seat, and I'm like, I don't see a list here at all. I'm pretty sure this guy just called his buddy and said, hey Bob, come get this deer, we got a deer down here. And all I could think was, there's a redneck right now headed to the police station, pretty much covered from head to toe in blood of some sort or another, and he's walking into a police station right now to put his name on a list that doesn't exist. Holy shit. I wish I would have been there for that. Do I have some more time? One time I went to Taco Bell in my neighborhood, and I saw a robbery. I had ordered my food. It was the old school Taco Bell with little windows, and then you remember the old little arch windows, and you order over here, and you go down and pick it up at another window, and you can't really see what's going on in your kitchen, which I really liked. I really like that. I wish it was still that way. I don't want to know what's going on back there at Taco Bell, not at all. But this guy came in, and I'm standing there waiting for my food, and he puts a $5 bill on the countertop, and he says, I'd like a soda. And when the kid opened the drawer, the guy went over the top. His hands were in the drawer, and I don't know, this high school kid, he freaked out a little bit, but I think he had a proper reaction, which was to use his hip to slam the drawer shut. And this guy had all of his fingers in there, right? And I'm standing like, holy shit. Boom! 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 Like 5 times this guy spot in the register. And he's bloody as hell. I mean, he's tore up. And he might have got $2 out of the register. And he ran away. But the $5 bill was still sitting there on the counter. He didn't get his drink, and I'm pretty sure he didn't get enough change to make the whole thing worth anything. So the cop shows up, long story short, they make me ID the guy, even though I described the guy as, well, he was a colored gentleman with his hands completely broken and bleeding everywhere. Like, this should be an easy find. Like, hey, we got a guy, and his hands are all fucked up, and he's wearing a jersey. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll follow up on this. Let me go, hey, let's go in the cop car and identify this guy. So he drives me down the road, and we pull up to this area, and I'm in the back seat, and he stops the car. He's like, is that him? And I'm looking off into this yard, like I figured they had one in there. No, he's in the cop car directly next to me. We're like yin-yang, and we're both in the back seat of the cop car, and I'm looking over at him, and he's looking over at me. There's no window tinting here. I lived in this neighborhood where this Taco Bell is. And I'm like, yes, that's him. Can we go? Like, what the fuck? So I got to chew this cop's ass for at least 15 minutes about how, like, dude, I live here. I play basketball at this court right here. I eat at this Taco Bell. Are you going to put me in the witness protection program now? Are you going to pay for me to live somewhere else, asshole? Anyway. So do I still have time? Okay. Just telling stories, man. Weston was talking about, remembering the first time he got spanked. I don't remember that. I probably blacked out. At some point, it had to have been pretty bad. My parents went to Wisconsin Dells when I was younger and picked up a wooden paddle that was called the Board of Corrections. And it had a picture of two little kids bent over a fence with their underwear, just barely covering their asses. And on the back there was a list, put your name here if you've been whipped by this board. And we all had our name on it. It was a pretty good piece of evidence. But another traumatic experience in my life was getting sick in school for the first time. I was in kindergarten, this stuff happens, you eat the wrong thing, that's probably what it was, who knows. But I was in class, and I knew I was going to get sick, and recess was just a few minutes away. And the last thing I wanted to do when I was a little kid was draw attention to myself at all. And I definitely didn't want to puke in class in front of everyone. But I thought I could make it to the bell. And I'm sitting there watching every second on the clock because the teacher's doing whatever the fuck's going on. I remember this vividly, just sweating. I'm in kindergarten, the bathroom, is right around the corner. That's my plan. I do not want to puke in front of everyone in class. So my plan was to book it around the corner. And it's coming up on recess. And the bell rang. And just as the bell rang, I stood up as I was going to sprint to the bathroom, and just as I got to the door, I started to puke. Just as I was getting around the corner, and I caught it in my mouth. I closed my mouth and I held it with my hand. But my cheeks were probably as big as they ever were. They hurt, and they were so big, just blown completely up. And I'm running with fear in my eyes. I gotta make the bathroom. And just as I get to the door, my friend steps in front of me. Just jumps right in front of me. Hey! Just looking me straight in the eyes. And not a second later, he had to see the fear in my eyes. But he just hit my cheeks. And probably at that point when I was trying to say no, that probably triggered the second phase of my vomiting. And as the vomit spewed out of my mouth, covering this kid from head to toe, and the second wave got pretty good too, completely covered in vomit. And afterwards, I felt really good. He had to go home. He had shit everywhere. And I felt much better. All right, Four Cones, I'm gonna get out of here after another one here, but I see the Jimmy John's across the street, and I wanted to let you all know that I really like Jimmy John's, especially Jimmy John's delivery, because they're freaky fast, you know. They barely have enough time to whack off in my sandwich. That's what I like, and I know that because I raced them. I give them 30 seconds to make the sandwich. Then we race. All right, that's my show, Jason James. Follow me on Facebook. Keep it going with Jason James. We're doing that for all the entertainers that you saw tonight.